Land ownership and property rights, numbers 26 to 27, 36 to 1 through 12. The land is to be divided among the clans in proportion to their population, numbers 26, 52 to 56, and the assignment is to be made randomly. The result is that each household, extended family receives a plot of land sufficient to support itself. Unlike in Egypt and later the Roman Empire and medieval Europe, land is not to be owned by a class of nobles and worked by a dispossessed class of commoners or slaves. Instead, each family owns its own means of agricultural production. Crucially, the land can never be permanently lost to the family through debt, taxation, or even voluntary sale. My goodness, guys. There were legal protections to keep families from losing their land. Leviticus 25. Even if one generation of a family fails at farming and falls into debt, the next generation has access to the land needed to make a living. Why is it that we have allowed these people to take your money? Or no, not we. Why have you allowed these people to take your money when even the Torah forbids this whole come together in a community, give all your money? That's communism and socialism. And that is not true to the Word of God, right? Each family has their own means to make a living agriculturally. Now, it's one thing if say you get together and you buy a big plot of land and then you divide it up, subdivide it, or you have an agreement that says, "Hey, look, we've come to here. Here's a legal document to say this is a property ownership just displayed, and then proportionate to maybe whoever invests more than others." But like what Praiseline was doing, what Jordan saw me, so he was going out making all the money, and then what was he getting? $50 a month. And what did he walk away with? He had no ownership of the Praiseland. Guys, this community bullshit is communism. It's socialism. It's anti-Christ. It's anti-Torah. You were meant to own. God said, "This is an inheritance. I'm giving it to you." How do you think the land of Israel got when they came into the land of Canaan? How do you think the land got divided among all the families? Based on proportion of family, right? Some families are going to be bigger, so they require more agricultural land. Look at Straitway. Who owns Straitway? Look at Doug Bell, Elder Becker, and Brother Rich. Three different people. When they walked out with nothing. A few $1,000s and a vehicle. That's not ownership. They should have had an ownership of the land and then got their portion of the land bought out from them when they left. Look at Elder Becker. Look at all the money that he put in, and he never got any money out of it. And that money was supposed to be uh, for him to take care of him for the rest of his life. And then that money was supposed to go to his children. After all, doesn't the Bible say you store up for your children? Why would anybody give money to Pastor Dow just to Pastor Dow can give it to some not known piece of crap kid who we don't even know? His kid is going to turn out good. Look at the kings of Israel. How many times into the kingdom of Israel did one king, the father, and the next king turn evil, the next one turn good, the next one turn evil? Like what kind of wacko, like psychological psyop have they been brainwashed? You need property ownership. Now it's one thing if two families want to work together and then buy a property, but that's different. You're not having, remember, there's no threat of loss of property. They just came together and worked together. But right now, it's Straightway, you've got one person that controls everything. And if somebody wants to go move to a different part of the country, they can't move. And if they move, they get nothing. They get nothing. It's been 20 years and you get what, $10,000 and a vehicle? Over 20 years of your life? 25 years? 27 years? 28 years? And what do they have? They have nothing. Brother Rich, Elder Becker, and the Bell family. They walked away with nothing. They were homeless. And yet in the Bible, the book that you guys say you read, the Bible is totally the opposite. It says they are supposed to have property ownership. Guys, you've been deceived. And anybody who gets into this community BS is you're gonna pay hell for it. Because the Most High is looking down going, this is theft, robbery. You're using people. Now, it's one thing if you say, hey, look, I'm going to buy a bunch of property and then I'm going to subdivide the land and each person gets to own their own piece of property on this big area. That's different. At least you have property ownership. And then the other thing is, if you move off the land, what if you get tired of looking out and seeing the same tree and you want to go, I want to live by the lake? Why can't we move around? I mean, what are we? What are we? Is this a dictatorship? Is this some communist country where you have to live in this tiny little apartment in Romania like they did? Ceausescu? But you know what happened to Ceausescu? Finally, the people rose up and they put a bullet in his head and his wife's head. Because if you look down at space, look down at Ceausescu's palace, great big, huge palace, mansion, huge. You can see it from space. I've been there. It's horrifying. And I've been into those tiny little apartments where they shoved whole families, multiple families into this tiny little apartment. Meanwhile, the dictator, the communist dictator, Ceausescu, is living in when I say a mansion, this is not a mansion. This is like huge. Can you imagine living in like the Pentagon? Something like that. If not, and it was beautiful to look at, but all the people's money went to their palace. It's sick, guys. Stop falling for the false doctrine of community that these people, these evil, wicked people, remember, if you don't own it, you don't go there. You have to own it. Now, if you want to rent, that's fair enough. But when you rent, then that's an agreement. I'm renting. That's fair enough. But this community thing, never sell all your possession and give it to one man or one group of people and think you're going to walk away with anything. You're not going to walk away. Ask Jordan Salmi. Didn't work out well for him. That's why y'all need to start listening to me and stick to the plumb line.